Live. I don't know if it's gonna catch the last couple of seconds. It looks like it's gonna get the last couple seconds of me just staring at the screen, but that's okay. So we're starting off here. I don't know exactly what the format they're doing this is, but Kraken have the sixth best chance at the first or second overall pick, about 7.5% chance at each one. That's obviously what we're hoping for. And beyond that, it's either sixth, eighth, or sixth, seventh, or eighth for the Kraken. So they can only get first, second, or one of those other sixth, seventh, or eighth. Ideally, the Kraken don't. I mean, obviously, ideally they get the first overall pick or top one of the top two, and it would be really good if they could stay at least in the top six. I think realistically, if they just stay in the top six, that's fine. The top four is kind of where you really want to be, and the only way the Kraken get there is if they win one of the top two spots. But then there's kind of the next two players are somewhat obvious, and then a bit of a drop off to seems like it changes, but anywhere from the next two to the next four. So kind of the picks 5 through 8 or 5 and 6 is kind of the next level of them. So let's see how it goes. Obviously, best chances. I've got the other side. Chances are kind of scrolling along up over here on this side, and I'll update that with where the picks all ended up going once we find out the once we find out what the order is. Okay, so they're saying we're going to see the lottery draw live. I don't know how they plan on doing that, but we're going to see them actually draw it live. So I don't know if this is them just trying to put on a better show, if they're trying to nip all the rumors of it being rigged, just kind of get rid of those rumors. Okay. Okay, so two drawings. They have lottery ball numbers. Let me pull up what the numbers the Kraken have 1, 7, 10, 11 is A. 3, 11, 12, 13 would be their second chance. 6, 7, 10, 14 is their third. And 8, 10, 4, and 12 is their last chance there. Seattle Kraken. New GM Jason Botterill sitting in the practice locker room. Oh, there's the Kraken Lounge. See some people hanging out there. Obviously, a few less people at the Kraken lottery watch party than Chicago or San Jose, where they're a little bit more likely to be seeing that happen. So they're going to draw 4 numbers. They're going to draw 4 numbers, and each team, depending on what their chances are of getting the pick, has a different number of 4 number combinations. The Kraken had 4 combinations, as I said earlier. Let's. All right, so Gary's explaining why they made the change to the system. So he's saying that it always felt like such a dramatic moment when they were doing this same lottery system in a closed off room. So he's like, why not just do it with the fans? Because clearly that was such a novel idea. The NBA's been doing this for a long time, but NHL just took a few years to figure out how to do the lottery live and not make it seem like they're rigging the picks. which I don't ever think they really did, but it's hard to ignore a couple of like Montreal getting the first pick when it was in Montreal, and yeah, there was a couple of times where at least like you raise your eyebrow. It's like it certainly gives fuel to the fire for the people that do believe in the conspiracy of the NHL rigging the lottery picks. But how's it going, Victor? Good to see you in here. Why is this so complicated? My little pea brain can't understand. It's more complicated because usually they do most of this stuff with like the different lottery numbers and stuff all happens behind closed doors, so we never see most of it, but they're trying to include the fans in that lottery drawing process and also try to make it not seem like they're rigging it. So now we get to have to try to understand the complicated process of actually drawing these picks. So they're going to talk about some of the picks. The other thing, like in the past, they kind of, they had the whole system, and then we'd wait around for like 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, and then they'd start telling you like from 16 on where the teams ended up. But I'm not sure, since they're just doing two drawings, I'm not sure how exactly they're going to space all this out. They're just talking about different top prospects right now. So they're talking about Matthew Schaefer is kind of who most people expect to go number one, but Michael Misa, I don't know. I guess it depends on what the team wants, but Misa and Schaefer are the two that are most likely 1 and 2. I would say pretty definitively they're 1 and 2. It just depends on whether you get San Jose or Chicago want whoever gets the first pick. I mean, whoever gets the first pick, but whether the team with the first pick decides that they want a center or if they want a defenseman, they'll go with Schaefer or Misa, and that's kind of where we're at. Sean says the Sharks need this. You already got Celebrini. You don't need another one. Will I show the lottery? No, I can't actually show the streamer. They'll take me down, so I can't actually show the official event itself, or they'll come get me. I mean, they won't actually. They'll just like take the stream down off YouTube, and then I'll probably get some penalties or something. So I'm just not going to deal with that. But no, unfortunately, I can't stream the lottery. But I will be live commenting it and reacting to it when they happen. But right now they're just talking to Schaefer, Misa, and one of the other prospects. Who was it? I think it's Porter Martone's the other. Oh no, it's James Haggins they're talking to. Okay. They'll copyright it. Yes, it is copyrighted, so they'll just. Can you announce the picks by order then? Yes, I will. Once we start getting results, I'll start announcing it. For now, I've got the odds are over here, obviously in order, starting with the Sharks. So Sharks there with the best chance, and Montreal has the worst chance, and that's the Montreal's pick that they got from Calgary. So just the only one in the first round so far that's changed hands. All the other picks belong to the team in that spot. How long? That is hard to say. I would guess sometime soon. Here we go. We're getting started, it sounds like. So they've got a hard case with all the ping pong balls in it. A hard plastic, very official hard plastic case that doesn't at all look like they got it from Home Depot with some ping pong balls in it. Oh, well, I mean, got. All right, they're dropping the ping pong balls in. 1 is in, 2 is in. Yeah, last year we did not have any movement in the draft. They are reminding us of that, or in the lottery. Again, for those of us watching here for the Kraken's sake, it's the only team that I've looked up the numbers for, but the Kraken are looking for 1, 7, 10, 11, 3, 11, 12, 13, 6, 7, 10, 14, or 8, 10, 11, 12. So 11 getting drawn would be fantastic. That puts the Kraken in a good spot. Looks like 12 would be a good number to see as well. 7 they've got a couple chances at. 10 they have 3 chances. So 10 and 11 would be some good numbers for the Kraken to see drawn right out of the gate. Still don't know who the Islanders GM is going to be. I wasn't that surprised that Lou was let go. Yeah, it seems like it was kind of overdue that they let him go, but also it's the Islanders and they hate change. So I was like, there's a little bit of that. It's just like, they had like an okay season. It's the Islanders. They never change anything. He'll probably just stick around. All right, the machine's getting started. The balls are bouncing around. The clock is stopped. The guy with the control of stopping the clock, or the guy with the control of the button that makes one of the balls go up the machine, is not looking at it, so he can't see, unless he's looking at a mirror that they have off the screen, but this will be quite difficult. 5 seconds until they're going to draw the first ball. Come on, show the little thing. Oh. Number 7. All right, number 7. San Jose. So the Kraken now are up to a 9.8% chance of winning this one. This is for the first pick, I think. Yeah, so this is for first pick. All right, 30 more seconds before the second ball. This is quite the system they got going on here. So the Kraken can still win with 1, 10, and 11. So if 10 is the next number, that would be great. The Kraken would love to see a 10. But 1, 11, 6, and 14, they're still alive to win this drawing. And here comes the next one. Oh, what number is it? 11. All right, so the Kraken are still in it. We need to see a 1 or a 10. One or a 10. The Kraken now at a 10.6% chance at winning the this lottery here. All right, so the Kraken need this next number to be either they need this next number to be either 1 or 10. They need the next number to either be 1 or 10. These GM's all like, what the heck? All right, I won't lie. This is a little exciting. This is quite nerve-wracking. All right, here comes the next number. Oh. Oh, no, it's number 12. All right, so the Kraken aren't getting this one. All right, let's see what teams are still in it. Oh, wait, it says the Kraken are still in with a 9.1% chance. All right, I don't understand what the heck's going on, but it has... So San Jose, Chicago, Philadelphia, Seattle, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and the Islanders are all still in it. So the Kraken need a 3. All right, well, I don't know what these numbers they put out here are. Then I was going off a thing the Kraken released, but apparently I don't know, maybe that was seeing something different, but if the number is a 3, the Kraken win. If the number is a 2, Buffalo wins. Pittsburgh and New York, the Pittsburgh and the Islanders both have 2 chances here to win. Okay, now we're going to a commercial break. Well, that's fantastic. All right, so they're just showing as they go to commercial, they're just showing the ball still bouncing around in there. So the Kraken need this next one to be a 3. We're hoping for number 3. Of course, lower down chances. Islanders and Penguins are still have a chance to jump up. I don't think... Can either of them actually get the first pick, though? Okay, yeah, both of them can actually get the first pick. Man, if Pittsburgh wins this, I feel like there's like, regardless of the fact that they're actually showing the balls getting, bounced around in the machine, and they're showing the actual like lottery machine live. If Pittsburgh wins this, they're gonna the feeling of it being rigged is just like, or people are gonna start talking about that again. Like, I won't believe it. I don't know how you would have faked. I don't think the NHL is competent enough to fake something like this. But yeah, if if Pittsburgh wins, so I think this is for the first overall pick right now, and then they'll do it again for the second overall pick. Commercials. Why? So has the first pick been decided? No, it will be decided after this break, and then the second pick, I'm pretty sure, is how they're doing it. They'll decide who got the first overall pick, then they'll take those. Basically, that team will no longer be eligible to win with whatever their chances are, and then they'll run it again. So far the numbers they pulled are 7, 11, and 12. The Kraken need a 3, apparently. Which the little like lottery sheet that the Kraken put out on Blue Sky does not, it either makes no sense or I have no idea. But apparently, according to their broadcast, the Kraken still have a chance if they need it. They need this one to be number 3. So we're trying to find that 3 ball bouncing around in there. There was a couple of teams with 2 balls that still have a chance. The Penguins, Islanders, and I think Chicago still had 2 chances at it. I think San Jose was down to just 1 chance as well. It's like, oh, Kyle Dubas is in Hungary, apparently. It's like all these guys are in these big rooms. All right, so Philadelphia has 2 chances. Chicago has 2 chances. Pittsburgh and New York Islanders both have 2 chances. And then Seattle, Buffalo, and San Jose all have 1. All right, here we go. 30 seconds. Number 3. Number 3. So the Sharks need number 8. Seattle needs 3. Buffalo needs 2. I think Pittsburgh was 1 and 10. I don't remember the other ones that were like 2 numbers. All right, 5 seconds. Here we go. Come on, number 3. Come on, number 3. Oh, I don't think that's number 3. No, it's a 13. Ah, no. I can't remember who 13 was. It's not San Jose. It's not Seattle. It's not Buffalo. It's not Pittsburgh, I don't think. First pick goes to the New York Islanders. Got the first overall pick. The Islanders got the first overall pick. Wow, from the Islanders jumped from 10th to 1st. Okay, it's in the East. It's in the East. Whatever. Unfortunately for the Kraken, that does mean that a team has jumped them, so they've now dropped to 7th. All right, so the Kraken have now dropped to 7th. Go figure. Oh boy. Oh, here we go. Number one has been taken out. So they're talking to the Islanders GM for obvious reasons. They just got the first pick. So now the number one has been taken. I don't know what that means. I don't think I can trust these numbers that the Kraken put out earlier if you could trust those numbers, it doesn't look good for the Kraken that number one was the one that was taken out. So all right, second number is a 5. So I think that's the Kraken out, but we'll see. I feel like you could have done this interview maybe after you draw the second one. I don't know. We'll just find out, I guess, after they draw all 4 numbers who it was. Okay. Nope. Oh, here we go. Another number has gone up. It's the number 12. So 1, 5, and 12. Yeah, the Islanders would be absolutely the team to Islanders would be absolutely the team to take a defenseman first, which so all right here. Yep, Seattle's already out of it. So remaining teams that could still win, Seattle is out, so Seattle will likely be picking 7th. So Calgary and Utah could both move up 10 slots, which if it's Utah, that would be bad. So now it's number 3 is bad for the Kraken, of course. San Jose has 4 chances at of winning here. Chicago has 1. So we don't want to see number 3. For the Kraken, we went from wanting to see number 3 to now we do not want to see number 3. So the Kraken will pick likely 7th unless it's number 3, and then they'll pick 8th. Watch it be number 3. Of course, the Islanders win. At least it's a team in the East. Here it comes. Oh, it is number 3. So Utah jumps up ahead of the Kraken as well. So absolute disaster for the Kraken as they drop from 6th to 8th in the draft. Ugh. So San Jose ends up with the second pick. Hold on, I'm putting the numbers in. Well, that's an absolute disaster for the Kraken as 2 teams jump them. That is an absolute disaster for the Kraken. Go figure. For the first overall pick, the Kraken needed number 3 to come out as the last number, and they would have gotten the first overall pick. Obviously, it doesn't. That was pretty low chance. But then for the second overall pick, all they needed was for it to not be. All they needed was for it to not be number 3, and then that's the number that comes up that time. Oh, all right. I'm working on getting these numbers up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, and 2. Okay. File. Hold on. Give me a second here. I'm just putting the thing over there. Okay, and then really? Come on. All right, there we go. Oh, so the Kraken dropped to 8th. An absolute worst case scenario there for the Kraken. That is absolute worst case scenario. Well, I mean, ultimately, what it comes down to is whoever the Kraken were going to get was not going to be likely. Let's look at the prospect ranking. So this was not going to be a franchise unless the Kraken won. Unless they got first or second, this was not going to be a franchise changing player they were likely to get anyway. So 6th to 8th maybe doesn't matter, but again, depending on where you look, kind of top 4 is really where you wanted to be, but then top 6 was kind of the next spot, and below that, 7th and 8th maybe. I'm going to transition this. Actually, here, let me 1 second. And then all right, cool. I'm going to transition this over. So this is, yeah, so the Kraken dropped to 8. So the order we have, and I have it scrolling over. I kind of screwed up a file, so it's not quite in the order it will be, but you'll see it's in the order that they should have been in. But it's Islanders pick 1st, San Jose pick 2nd, Chicago 3rd, Utah 4th, Nashville 5th, Philadelphia 6th, Boston 7th, Seattle 8th, Buffalo 9th, Anaheim 10th, Pittsburgh 11th, Rangers 12th, Detroit 13th, then Columbus 14th, Vancouver 15th, and Montreal via Calgary gets the 16th pick. So a very, very bad night for the Kraken as far as the draft lottery is concerned. Just going off, so Tankathon has the draft prospects ranking here. This is obviously not definitive, but yeah, Schaefer and Misa are pretty obvious 1 and 2. So I guess maybe the bad news with Islanders going first is that probably means that Misa goes to San Jose, and you've got two very good centers then in San Jose, which for the Kraken could be a big problem in the years to come. The Sharks we could really see a rebound here from the Sharks that could cost the Kraken when it comes to a tough division. And then Porter Martone is another guy that's been, talked about at different times, is in that same echelon up there. So 3 and 4, you got 3 still going to Chicago. So Chicago is going to get another good player, and then Hagens. It's kind of the other fourth. The top 4 there are pretty locked in. I think from what we've heard, those are the 4 obvious top picks. So then Hagens would go to Utah, since of course Utah is going to win from 14th. Utah ends up winning one of the spots. Go figure. And then the rest here. So the Kraken at 8th, then you'd have potentially Roger McQueen, though from what I've heard, people aren't necessarily that excited about Roger McQueen, but maybe Jack O'Brien looks like, some pretty good numbers there for O'Brien. But we'll see. Obviously, the Kraken seem to have gotten a pretty good player in Berkeley Catton. The Kraken seem to have gotten a pretty good player in Berkeley Catton at 8th last year, so, it's still a top 10 pick, but yeah, dropping 2 spots from 6th to 8th is pretty rough. So, as far as prospects, let's see if Elite Prospects has a prospect ranking. Oh, they do. Look at that. All right, Elite Prospects prospect ranking. So Elite Prospects also has Schaefer at 1, Misa at 2, Martone at 3, Hughes at 4, McQueen at 5. So McQueen actually higher on. Here's the thing. Maybe the most fun situation. I don't know if this is the dream scenario, but the most fun situation is that Roger McQueen just turns out to be a superstar, and the Kraken get him at 8th. And then you've got, and even though he's not actually a fast player, maybe he just figures out how to skate like the wind, and then we can have a player who you can nickname Lightning, and he can be Roger Lightning McQueen. Be fun. All very unlikely, but could be fun. They have Jack Smith then at 6, Victor Eklund at 7, and Carter Bear at 8th. So we'll see. Then Jack O'Brien's still at 10th there. So it seems like, I don't know. I still have not watched very much as far as especially OHL, I've not watched very much of. So I don't know much other than just the stats that we have here, which points are obviously, as we know, not everything. But at least offensively, it looks like Jack O'Brien pretty decent there. And 6'2", definitely at 170 pounds, definitely needs to still get a little bit more weight there to not get pushed around in the NHL. But picking at 8th, this is not a player that's going to be playing in the NHL next season for sure, and probably even not for the next 2 years. Again, sounds like Berkeley Catton has a decent chance to make the NHL in what would be the second year after his draft. So not out of the question that this is a player the Kraken could see in Seattle in 2 years, but certainly not a player we'll be seeing this next season, whoever they get there. But Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what these gold check marks mean. What does a gold check mark mean? Probably like, oh, they probably have like a Twitter account or something like that. I don't really care about that then. In fact, if you have a gold check mark, is that a bad thing? If you've paid money for Twitter, is that a bad thing? Do we not want? Maybe there's another reason to have Jack O'Brien. He doesn't have a Twitter. I don't know if that's what that actually means, but anyway, transition back here. But yeah, a pretty much a full on disaster here for the Kraken. Betting the Islanders scoop up James Hagen's definitely possible. That's one of those top four level prospects. Again, the top four have kind of been for a while now. The top four have been seen as the top level, and then below that, there's kind of the next 2 to 4 guys are kind of the second tier of this draft, and then everything below that it's hard to say. So, I suppose the Kraken could potentially, as long as it does turn out that second tier is the next 4, the Kraken could still end up with a pretty decent player, but and it's hard to say. Obviously, even what we think we know on draft day doesn't always turn out to be the case. Even a couple years down the road, things change quite a bit. So this was ultimately a lottery for a lottery, if you think of it that way. It's a lottery to figure out who gets to have their pick of a lottery ticket to a player that could end up being fantastic or could be a bust. We've seen first overall picks bust all the time, and certainly that gets more and more likely the farther you go down. But there is, at least by average how a player turns out, the average definitely drops quite a bit once you get out of the top 4 picks. It drops quite, like 1 and 2, pretty good. You're going to get a pretty good return from a first or a second pick. Then it drops a significant amount to third, then a decent amount more to fourth, and then kind of just the graph of productivity. I guess I could do it the other way. The graph of productivity kind of just levels out after kind of the top 4 to 6 picks. So that was crazy, but another L for the Kraken. Yep, that is pretty much how it panned out. That is awesome. I'm really happy right now. I said top pick anywhere, but did not see the first pick coming. Yeah, that's for the Islanders. It's certainly what they needed. The Islanders have kind of been stuck in the ever since they lost the 2 conference finals. They've kind of just been stuck in this cycle of mediocrity, and not the good kind of mediocrity where you're at least like a borderline playoff team that's actually making the playoffs, and at least then you get playoff revenue and you get the chance. You never know, but the like mediocre team that's just constantly just missing the playoffs is where the Islanders have been at, and that's the worst possible place to be. So for the Islanders, they this is a big day for them for sure. So oh yeah, Higgins is from Long Island. I didn't know that. So cool. That'd be yeah, that'd be a fun story for sure. Now taking him first overall, I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. Did any other teams get hosed? I mean, Nashville has to. I think Nashville has to be feeling pretty hosed right now because Nashville dropped to the 5th pick. So Nashville was 3rd and they dropped to 5th. So that they got to be feeling pretty hosed, I would say right now. Dropping from 3rd to 5th is that's pretty tough, especially again in a draft where at least the way things look right now, the top 4 prospects are in a league of their own, it seems. And if that turns out to be the case, Nashville dropping from 3 to 5 is pretty rough. So that's tough. I mean, yeah, then you can just go down from there. Like Philadelphia dropped 2 spots to 6th. Boston dropped 2 spots to 7th. Buffalo, I mean, yeah, Seattle's kind of in a chunk of 6 teams there that dropped 2 spots with, yeah, Boston dropping 2 to 7th, Seattle 2 to 8th, Buffalo 2 to 9th, Anaheim 2 to 10th, and Pittsburgh 2 to 11th. So, yeah, not the only team, but it certainly sucks to be one of those teams that dropped 2 spots. And the higher up you are, the less you expect to drop 2 spots, I would feel like. I guess maybe that's not true. You probably expect it less the higher you are in the draft, but could definitely see him. Yeah. Well, draft is the 27th of June. So we'll find out on the 27th of June who the Kraken get at number 8 for the second year in a row. The Kraken picking in the 8th spot. Last year getting Berkeley Catton, who did kind of fall to them at 8th, or did they? Kind of fell to them to 8th. So we'll see what happens. Maybe that we get get a couple surprises, and again, maybe you have. I can't imagine one of those top 4 players falling out of maybe the top. Like maybe one of those 4 teams reaches down, and maybe one of those 4 falls to Nashville. I mean, that's kind of, I think what you're hoping with the Kraken is like, yeah, it's fantastic if they get the first or second pick, but just don't fall below 6th, and then hope that a team or two just lock into a guy and maybe one of those top 4 falls down to them. Pretty unlikely, but then they drop to 8th, so there's absolutely no chance the Kraken get one of those top 4 players at this point. And then you've got, yeah, seems like there's different places like Elite Prospects and like Tankathon seem to disagree on where the next group even a little bit, but looks like the Kraken will probably be picking somewhere in that range of like Jack O'Brien seems like he'll be available. Roger McQueen maybe like Caleb Desharnais. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that rightly or correctly, probably not. But maybe Frondell. Probably not, but maybe. I guess Elite Prospects has Frondell at 12th. So it kind of seems like once you get past those top 4, everyone's kind of guessing. Like Jack Smith and Victor Eklund probably, like maybe those are picks 5 and 6. I don't know. We'll see. Hard to tell, but anyway, appreciate everyone for joining. I think we'll call this one about 45-minute stream. A quick one here for the draft lottery. The Kraken stayed in it for the first overall pick. They had one chance with that number 3 ball, and it doesn't come up for them when they need it. And then it was the one ball that they could not afford to see as the last one drawn for the second overall pick, and it's the one that gets drawn. So, of course, the Kraken drop again. All they needed was for that one to get drawn, and of course it does. So the Kraken drop. Actually, I guess if the Flames are really in Montreal with that pick, I think if they had won it, they would have jumped to 6. So the Kraken still would have dropped 2. So I guess number 3 wasn't the only ball the Kraken could have seen there to drop, but still one of 2. And it's of course number 3. Right after that was the one that would have given them the first pick. It's one of 2 that drops them from 7 to 8. So number 3, an unlucky number in Seattle right now. Not a well-liked number after today. It does have a bit of, the number 3 does have a bit of a rocky history in Seattle. You got Alex Rodriguez was number 3, and fantastic. Would have been a Hall of Famer in Seattle, but then we know how A-Rod's career went with chasing the money to a terrible Rangers team and then going to New York where he did tons of steroids. And then, of course, number 3 with Russell Wilson. Again, another career that was on a Hall of Fame track, won a Super Bowl here, and then chased some money and whatever else. I can't imagine he actually thought he was going to win. I mean, I don't know. He seems like he can convince himself of just about anything, but I feel like thinking he was going to win in Denver was a bit of a long shot. Either way, number 3, I mean, we liked Will Borgen. So at least Kraken-wise, we liked Will Borgen, but they did trade him away, and maybe trading away number 3 during the season, maybe that's what got them, Unlikely, but obviously. Yeah, so tough day for the Kraken, dropping 2 spots in the lottery. They'll pick 8th again, like I said, in the upcoming draft on the 27th of June. Suppose as far as number 8 is concerned, that is again where they got Berkeley Catton last year, and so far after one more year, things have been going pretty well for Catton, so we'll see. Until the 27th, though, I'll stream again for that draft. Last year I did not stream for the entry draft because I was actually at it, but this year I will still be in Seattle, so we'll be streaming for round 1 of that entry draft on the 27th, and see who the Kraken get at number 8. But as for now, one more time, that draft order, and I'm just going to look off to the side here. I have to remind myself, but picking first, winning from the 10th spot, literally the lowest possible odds to win the first overall pick. The Islanders win it with the worst possible odds to get the first pick. Then San Jose stays at number 2 with this. San Jose stays at number 2. Chicago stays at number 3 because with the second win from the 14th spot, because they can't jump they can only jump 10 spots, but from 14th, Utah, of course, jumps up to 4th. So if you want, for anybody that likes the conspiracy theory of the NHL finding ways to rig things, the newest franchise jumping up 10 spots from 14th to 4th with a very, very, very small chance that was going to happen. That can fuel that fire a little bit. But then Nashville at 5, Philadelphia at 6, Boston at 7. These are all teams that dropped 2 spots. Seattle at 8, Buffalo at 9, Anaheim at 10, Pittsburgh at 11, and then a couple of teams that dropped 1 spot in the Rangers dropping to 12. Detroit drops to 13th. Columbus drops to 14th, and then staying where they were as expected, both Vancouver and, well, Calgary, but their pick belongs to Montreal, but 15th Vancouver and 16th Calgary. And then from there, we have to wait to find out how the playoffs shake out to figure out where the draft goes from there, but there's no clear-cut number 1, so not really a big deal. There's no clear-cut number 1, but there is a pretty clear-cut top 4. And I mean, I guess you can say not a big deal in that there isn't a player like the last 2 drafts in Connor Bedard or Macklin Celebrini that's supposed to be like a potential Hall of Fame ceiling. There's not necessarily one of those players in this draft is kind of the way it looks, but in a couple of those players are like perennial all-stars with maybe a Hall of Fame chance is kind of where you're looking at it. Like we'll see with Misa and Schaefer, but the 2 of them are kind of in that like perennial all-star expected, but for Misa you're looking at with Celebrini, if he goes to the Sharks, then you're looking at a very, very good second line center, or maybe he goes on the wing of Celebrini, goes on Celebrini's wing. He got just a great 1-2 punch on a top line there, or a 1-2 punch on 2 lines, however you look at that. Still a very, very good player, Misa. The top 4, and then going to Porter Martone and James Higgins those are like clearly the top 4 of this, and of this draft, and they all project to be perennial playoff is kind of what I've heard, or what I've heard and read, is that these are all like guys that project to have that potential of a perennial playoff or a perennial all-star type player. And then from there, it's with a top 10 pick, you're still hoping to get a top 6 forward or a top 4 defenseman, and anything more than that is icing on the cake. Anything less than that is a little bit disappointing. But yeah, from the aspect of there not being a Connor Bedard or a Macklin Celebrini or who was it next year? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I can scroll down here and find it. Or Gavin McKenna next season. Next year's draft, Gavin McKenna is kind of back into that category of like, a ceiling that's a franchise-changing type of player by themselves. So this year's draft is kind of the one year without a guy like that, but still those top 4 players are very, very good. You still have 4 players that project to be better than maybe anybody in like the 2 drafts that the Kraken picked. Like probably 4 players that project to be better than anybody in the Owen Power, Matty Beniers draft or in the Shane Wright draft. Yeah, the top end is still pretty good on this one. So definitely a bummer for the Kraken to drop 2 spots. 34 views and only 4 thumbs up. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah, well, we're going to call it here pretty soon, but I appreciate everyone hopping in here and watching along for a few minutes and get Leafs Florida is about to start. Not that we won't be watching that on reacting to that, but Brad Marchand playing against the Leafs again, so if it's Marchand, maybe, if this series goes to 7, then he can definitely help with some experience of beating the Leafs in Game 7s. So, anyway, thanks again for everyone for joining for the stream. Really didn't go the way we hoped. Pretty much a disaster for the Kraken and 2 teams jumping them. At least the good news is one of the 2 teams that jumped them. The only tiny little bit of fake silver lining there is that one of the 2 teams that jumped them, and the team that got the first overall pick, taking it from San Jose, is an East Coast team, so at least that player is not someone the Kraken are going to have to face more than twice a year and won't have to face in the playoffs until a potential Stanley Cup. But yeah, still not great. And then Utah ends up jumping them as well, which a lot of the teams drafting ahead of the Kraken are in the Central Division, so at least I think it's only San Jose, only San Jose in the Kraken division is picking above them. But if the Islanders go Schaefer or really anybody other than Misa first, and you end up with a 1-2 punch of Michael Misa and Macklin Celebrini for the Sharks, that is going to be something to contend with for the Kraken for years to come. So anyway, is what it is. Again, one more time, thank you for joining. Streaming wise, the next stream will be for the draft on the 27th of June, and then we'll have some videos between now and then. Until then, stay safe out there, be good to each other, God bless, and go Kraken. 8th overall. 8th overall. 2nd year in a row.